Hey everyone, and welcome back to another Tuesday tip, where in this video we're going to be showing you how to drop in on a quarter pipe just like this one. So to start out, let's simplify and define what dropping in means. Dropping in is basically just rolling in or jumping in or just getting into a ramp like this one. And if you're first starting out riding and you're first going to skate parks, it can be very intimidating to look at one of these and think about how you're gonna go down it. And I'm here to tell you that it is very easy. And if you saw my how to jump a spine video, you might remember that we talked about how dropping in on a quarter pipe like this one is a prerequisite to jumping a spine. And just like in that video, we're gonna rewind and we're gonna talk about the prerequisites to dropping in on a quarter pipe like this one. And the first prerequisite is to just make sure that you're comfortable on the bike and riding around so that you can be comfortable and confident whenever you go to first roll in on a ramp like this. Second, I would say that you want to be comfortable rolling down wedge ramps. And usually if you come to a skate park that's near you, you'll have something with prefab ramps like these ones, and there will be different types of ramps there, like wedges and quarter pipes, smaller and bigger. At the skate park that we're at, we have 2 different size wedges and 2 different size quarter pipes to choose from. So I would recommend starting on a smaller wedge and just getting comfortable rolling down a wedge and just get the feel for what it feels like to go down a ramp and gain some momentum and speed as you're going down something. From there, I would say that you're probably ready to drop in on a ramp like this, although there are a couple things that you want to take into consideration before you even start. The first of those is your sprocket or chain wheel size on your bike. If you look at this bike right here, the sprocket isn't huge, but if your bike has a bigger sprocket on it, it's possible that it might hit the coping of the ramp whenever you go to drop in. And that's something that you're going to want to be aware of before you just go ahead and try this, because if your sprocket hits right here, it can make your back end come up and just all kinds of bad things can happen. So you want to take into consideration the size of the sprocket on your bike. Most likely, if you're riding a modern freestyle BMX bike, whether it's stock or custom, you're not going to have a sprocket big enough to hit on a ramp such as this one. And the other thing that you're going to want to think about before you even consider dropping in is that you need to remember to keep your pedals flat. It's very obvious why, because if your pedals aren't flat, let's say if they're like this and you go to drop in, they catch, bad things happen, you flip, you fall, it can hurt. Keep your pedals flat anytime you go to drop in. So from here, let's move to a smaller ramp and start to go through the motions so you guys can start to get a feel for what it looks like and what it's going to feel like whenever you first start to drop in. We're on a smaller ramp now, and at this point, we're assuming that you're comfortable going down banks of all sizes, whether it's a small one like on the other side of this box jump or a larger one. This is a perfect setup here, this small box jump, because it allows you to roll up the end of it, go across the top, get ready, and then just roll straight into this ramp. And if you're first starting out riding and you've never dropped in before, this is how I would recommend starting out. You want to find the smallest quarter pipe possible that you can go as straight as possible at. And what you're going to want to be thinking about as you're doing this is that once you get to the top where you're approaching the ramp to go straight down in it, you want your pedals flat. It doesn't matter a ton here, but you do want your body in pretty much the same position that you have whenever you're just riding around flat. Whenever you come over the ramp, you just want to be ready with your knees to absorb any impacts. Keep yourself a little bit loose, but not too loose. And really, it's as simple as just rolling down the ramp and just trying it. I know it sounds scary if it's your first time, but there have been kids coming down here literally since I started riding bikes, including me, who have no experience whatsoever. They're just down here riding around in circles. They try it. Sometimes, like we talked about earlier, their sprockets will catch. They'll do a little bit of a nose manual, but 99% of the time they're okay and they roll away and they come back and they're ready for it the next time. So let's turn around, go down the bank, come back, and show you what it looks like to drop in. Okay, and since you can still hear me now, we're coming up the box. We're making sure that our pedals are flat. We're absorbing it, rolling down, and rolling away. We'll show you another one here. You can pedal up it, but as long as your pedals are flat as you go down it, you're okay. And as you saw there, I came back up the ramp. That's another skill that you're going to want to have at this point. You just come up the ramp with enough speed. Just go for it the first time. I promise you that you'll make it. And if you don't, nothing bad happens. You just jump off the bike and you're okay, and you know that you need to have more speed for next time. And if dropping in is something that's really getting into your head and you just can't get yourself to roll into the ramp and you have pegs on your bike, there is one trick that you can use to help get yourself comfortable with the motions. And this is something that you can consider even before you just try to roll into the ramp. But I promise you, just rolling in is as easy as I'm saying that it is. What you can do is get onto your pegs in a double peg stall, which you can safely do while you're on top of the ramp. As you can see, my bike just stays here. And once your bike's in the double peg stall, you can put your outside foot on the pedal and down, and you can put your inside foot on the ramp. And all you have to do to get comfortable with the dropping in motion here is just push off the ramp and go into it and roll down it. It's very simple, just like this. And we can show you again, very simply, inside foot on the ramp, outside foot on the pedal, push off, keep both hands on your grips, look where you want to go, don't overturn, just casually drop into the ramp. The most important thing that you want to consider whenever you're learning how to drop in is to not overcomplicate things. If you let it get into your head and you make it too complicated, it's going to be a lot harder for you than it actually is. Another thing that we want to take into consideration is that not all quarter pipes are the same. Some of them are steeper, some of them are mellower. This, for example, is a very mellow quarter pipe. That's why we can just roll into it without worrying about hitting our sprocket at all. But if it was a steeper quarter pipe, we wouldn't be able to just roll straight in on it, and there's other methods that we have to go to that are more advanced, and something that you'll get into the more and more you ride and the more different skate parks you go to that aren't prefab like this one and have different types of ramps. So now that we've talked about this, let's move to a bigger ramp and just give you more examples and things that you're going to encounter as you keep on riding. So we moved from a 3-foot box jump with a 3-foot lip that doesn't have coping on it over here to a 4-foot quarter pipe with coping. And in all honesty, because of the mellowness of this ramp, dropping in on it is exactly the same as dropping in on something like the box lip that we started on. So what you can do is start with a far enough distance that you're comfortable with to drop straight into the ramp and just roll into it. I'll show you that right now. I'm approaching the ramp here. I'm making sure that my pedals are flat and we're just rolling down. As you could probably see, rolling in on this ramp was exactly the same as rolling in on the ramp that we started on, just a little bit bigger and with an added difficulty level in your mind with the coping. In all reality, it's exactly the same. Your bike rolls over the coping with no problem. You roll into the ramp and you ride away. But as you keep riding, you're going to encounter bigger ramps than this one, and you're not going to be able to roll straight into the ramp. So what do you do whenever you encounter a ramp that you can't roll straight into because your sprocket will hit and you will front flip and it will not be fun? What you can do in those situations, and if you're just starting out and your local skate park is much gnarlier than this one and all of the ramps are bigger than 4 feet and maybe even more steep, is that you can roll at these ramps at an angle and drop in that way. You can still roll in, but you just go at an angle. That way your sprocket won't hit and you won't front flip. So let's show you an example of that now. We just make sure that our pedals are going to be flat and we're a comfortable distance away from the ramp to start with. We go, make sure our pedals stay flat, we roll in at an angle, and we ride away. This can feel a lot more intimidating than just rolling straight into a ramp. One thing that you can do to make it feel a little bit better is to pick up the front end and set it into the ramp whenever you go to roll in. And that is the next step as far as dropping in goes and getting to the point where you can jump into the ramp. So let's show you an example of that now as this train comes in and ruins my audio. As you could see, we still had to keep our pedals flat in this process All we had to do was pick up the front tire, put it into the transition, and lean with the bike to roll down in the direction that you're going. And one thing that you want to keep in mind is that when you're doing this, if you practiced going in from your pegs like we talked about, it's a very similar motion and feel to the experience of dropping in like this. This is also the next step in the process of dropping in. So once you've mastered picking up your front wheel and rolling into a ramp at an angle, what you can do is start bunny hopping into the ramp, because you're pretty much picking up your front tire in preparation for a bunny hop anyways, and that's what you're going to have to do when it comes to bigger and steeper ramps. So the first step to bunny hopping into a ramp is something that we've already talked about in setting your front tire in. So once you've got that mastered, just practice picking up your front tire more and just bunny hopping. It's a simple bunny hop to the side and jumping into a ramp. And you're going to want to practice this on a smaller ramp like this one, because there's much more room for error on a smaller ramp such as this than a steeper or bigger ramp. Just like before, you want to keep your pedals flat and you just want to do a normal bunny hop into the ramp. And we'll give you a couple examples of that right now. So just like before, you want to start far enough away from your dropping in point to get comfortable enough to hop into the ramp, and you want to keep your pedals flat so you approach the drop in, just pick up the front tire and bunny hop in. And for our last example, we'll do another example of that now. You can do this at any angle, so we'll go straight at it this time. And so that just about wraps up this video on how to drop in. The main things to remember are to keep your pedals flat and to make sure that your sprocket doesn't hit the coping whenever you're dropping in. I hope this video helped you. If you liked it, hit the subscribe button down below. I come out with other tips and tricks videos like this one on Tuesdays when I have them. I have a BMX news video on Fridays and other riding videos throughout the week. Thank you for watching, and we'll see you next time. Goodbye.